Hey guys, bonjour.
Comment vas-tu?
Très bien, merci. What's your take on the vintage?
Yeah, I think if you talk about crops, that remind me a bit about 2005. Very generous, a lot of fruit out there. But for us, with our program, we adapt the crop based on shoot lengths. So it's always kind of that they give us standardized. So I think we had a great season overall. It was pretty easy to manage. And especially during when you think about picking, it was very forgiving. You could pick at your own leisure.
I heard that.
So that was fantastic that way. The crop, the pass, I think some people got greedy, especially after 17. So I think you got to always keep that in mind. Some people saw the opportunity to go at it and be greedy. And for us, we stick to the program. We see short shoot, nothing, average shoot like 1, and big shoot 2, and then no clumping, no touching. So having respect in that, I think that give us more density than some other people. They must have stretch to get that concentration and that ripening. And for us, we are more in the normal boundaries of what we, in terms of ripening and phenolic windows.
Very interesting. Well, let's taste some wines. What do you want? So, do you want to start? What do you want to start with first?
Remind me. It's been a few doozy of a week. Remind me what we sent you. Do you have Tempest?
We have everything.
Okay.
I got more than I don't even get this when I go see you guys.
Well, this was the special.
We'll send you more just in case.
This was the special Hong Kong edition.
Yeah, really the Hong Kong Zoom taste.
The one-off series.
So I would say Tempest. Maybe start with Tempest, and then we. Yeah, do you have Falstaff?
Yeah, of course. It's right here. Yeah.
Okay, then I would go Tempest, Falstaff, Bard. Maybe we do those three first.
Yes, so this has a really nice fruit extraction and depth, firm, totally together. Really, the classic rum style, but dialed back just a tiny bit, which I like, a little bit less high-toned fruit. So, remind me, where does Tempest come from?
Okay, so these first three wines, Tempest, Falstaff, and Bard, are all varietal driven. So Tempest is always Merlot driven.
Okay.
In 18, it was 3/4 Merlot, 75%. And then the other 25% was Cab. And so we're blending in all three of these wines, we're blending a variety of vineyards. But in the case of Tempest, I think one of the things that's become pretty unique for us is like there's a little bit of Calistoga Merlot in that wine, but then there's some cooler climate Merlot coming from Oak Knoll, a little bit from our property here in Stag's Leap, and then going forward, even Farella.
We're playing with Scoomsville now.
Yeah. So it's kind of a combination, James, I would say, of like Calistoga gives you that warm, higher toned fruit, but then Oak Knoll and certainly Coombsville, gives you a little more textural elements and a little fresher, cooler climate profile.
Really nicely done. Maybe one of the best Tempests you've done. Okay, so now what do you want to taste then?
Falstaff.
Okay, let me find.
That's the return because we did have one in 17. So
Falstaff.
a Cabernet Franc based wine. And now we play with the fruit from the property that we contracted a few years ago, Upper Range, north of Miners, on the east side of Oakville. I would say saying kind of orientation and exposure of Napa Valley, a 600 feet elevation on the east side plateau.
Again, nice density. I like the way that it's all like really together. There's really no, it's sort of seamless, which is good. A lot of the wines I've tasted from 18, you lose it in the center palate, or its length is short, or, it's sort of just
chopped around.
Yeah. So this one is just really, again, seamless and beautifully structured. So nice job. Cool. Okay, let's try the next wine then.
Okay, so you did Falstaff. So Bard would be next.
Okay. It's interesting that a lot of people when you like speaking to people, the accepted wisdom is, 2018, it could be better than 16. And now I'm tasting stuff. Sorry, no way. Yellow
Every year is
card,
epic.
just like
Every year is epic,
card,
James.
Yellow card. Sorry.
Yeah, straight to the red.
Straight to the
Yeah,
red.
right.
Straight to the red.
So Bard, you're familiar with this wine.
That's the one that was in the store.
He had 14. You were
Yeah,
selling the 14 vintage. So 18 Bard, probably one of the more complex Bards that we've produced yet in terms of how many vineyard sources are in it. I think there was something like 23, 25 lots or more.
40 plus.
Oh wow. Okay, so a number, a lot of different components. There's everything from Calistoga to Coombsville, east side, west side, hillside, valley floor. Everything's in here. It's 85% Cabernet. The rest is Cab Franc, Merlot, PV, like normal. The only other little distinguishing fact that we decided to be transparent about, because we kind of liked it, was that this was the first time we put 2% Petit Syrah in this wine. And that is going to relate to a vineyard that you're going to taste later in the portfolio, but some Petit Syrah from the Beckstoffer Born vineyard that we get. And it fit into the blend. It kind of added some interesting kind of aromatic components to it. So we thought, why does this wine have to be just a classic Bordeaux blend? Why can't it be a classic Napa blend? And if that means 60-year-old head-trained Petit Syrah vines, so be it.
Really good. And I love the drink. It's really drinkable, really beautiful drinkability. But at the same time, it's one for it'll age really well. And I think it's gonna be one of those wines where now we taste it and we're going, whoa, it's so good, it's so drinkable. And then like in a year, it's gonna close down.
Yeah.
Like
it could be also because we also did some we're doing more and more of the concrete edging.
Okay.
To stay away, from the bears. So
Yeah.
we're looking into that wine to bring that notion we love. We've been experimenting with Merlot, Cab Franc, and Cabernet Sauvignon, and we really like what it does in terms of keeping that freshness, that kind of nervousness to the wine. And we're going to do more and more in that overboard, you will see. So this one was kind of the test driving. I think that's going to be great.
Well, nice job. Really good. So what's next?
I would go. So those are the blends. Then we go into the single vineyards. What do you think? You want to go Huyi next?
Yeah, Huyi next. Pritchard Hill.
So Huyi, which is Pritchard Hill.
Yeah.
That's the one with the Polaroid photo.
Yeah, I remember. Probably Pritchard Hill had much less of a problem.
Yeah, James, we're not spitting.
It's close to dinner, so
close to dinner time here. So.
But unfortunately, it's morning. I haven't had breakfast yet, or a coffee. So beautiful nose right away. With some conifer and lead pencil blackberries.
I think it was a very good, typical Pritchard Hill.
Very, totally.
Very nice, again, back to the vintage. I think we can find the terroir a little bit more, the AVA, very expressive in their own.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This one really tastes like Pritchard Hill, where you have that stones and the conifer and stuff, but then just that little touch of ripe dry fruit, and a lot like stuff like Chapelet stuff, more in that style than, let's say, the Colgan thing. And I really like that. Some really black fruits too. Okay.
So next we go to Farella, down in Coombsville. So Farella, 18, the thing to say here was this was the first year we took over the farming. Obviously, as you know, we've been in that vineyard for a long time, but it finally, 18 was the year we kind of structured the new partnership with the Farella family. Which we're super excited about, which gave us control of the vineyard right away. And I think, we knew the site. Benoit certainly was very comfortable there, but we also felt like there was some changes we could make in terms of canopy management and irrigation practices.
A little bit different flavor profile than, let's say, Hall too. You're getting more spice. character and sandalwood. I don't know if that's your wood use or if it's more the position of the vineyards or what you're doing, but
wood typically we back away a bit from the wood.
okay.
75% new and still, the Taranto, the Danajou, so that's our classic. So I would say that we in different parts of Coonville, we're very close from the
range.
The Becker range, just on the bottom, the food here. So facing west, and I think Paul is in a very different scenario, almost facing south.
Facing south and,
south,
and yeah,
with breaths
a little bit of west, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe east. Yeah, a very different part of Coonville.
Very different. It almost has sort of Stag's Leap character to it, with the pines and all this sort of. It's really cool. A nice style, yeah.
Well, that's a good segue.
Good segue. You want to taste Moonracer?
So Moonracer next.
Cool. Let me find it. It's really the best I've had.
Thank you. That's how we felt, but it's all the work. The vintage was extremely favorable, especially for us to express all the variation we have on the site, from the south facing to the east facing, and picking at the very leisure. I think we had peak within like a month and 10 days. In between the south facing came early, east facing we let it do its things. So I think that was, again, beautiful vintage, and that coupled with the farming and the improvement we make on site, I think that start to show a more precise Moonracer. I hope.
Totally. So that's what I wrote, even tasting it yesterday. Such precision and elegance and great length. Really complex. Really stunning. No, really.
We should stop the tasting right here. Drop the mic.
No, it's really, wow.
No, we're really excited about that site, and this site. I mean, we're sitting here now, and I think there's something magical about. I mean, obviously, Benoit had a history on this site that goes back to 2004, but he wasn't always able to have the farming support and the team and the tank space, and so to be able to pick a property that's only 20 acres but 30 days apart. You think about that, James. It's like first pick is in mid-September, and the last pick could be in late October. That's how much diversity. Little microclimate is on this hill of Wapo Hill, which is pretty cool.
Really, really amazing. Okay, what's next then?
Okay, so maybe you want to go Hartwell Grace?
Sure.
Okay, so I think
That's
let's stay in Stag's Leap. There's a wine without a label on it. It should just say Hartwell or Hartwell Grace, maybe.
Yeah.
So we bought the vineyard. We bought that parcel. It's adjacent to Moonracer. It's adjacent to where we are, but the Hartwells kept it for several years. There it is. There it is. You got it. And so we when we bought the property, we kept the barrels from the 18 and 19 vintage. We had made the wine anyways, and so it just the barrels with the land kind of was part of the sale. And so now we're going to keep it separate, and hopefully you'll see why when you taste it. I think the profile of the blocks that are at the top of the hill are very different than Moonracer.
Now we cannot wait to have you back to show you what it is and where it is, because it's very it's a unique special place, and we privileged to acquire it this year. So I mean, there's some exciting wine coming from there, as you can taste already.
Yeah, totally different microclimate. It's up at 500 feet of elevation.
All the vines, budwoods from the Grace family, so that's why we call it Hartwell Grace.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's an history there, and it's planted in 85. So the oldest plant material we have, and we really isolate that, and I think it came out special in 18 and 19 and hopefully.
Well, will it say Realm or will it be Hartwell Grace? What's the brand?
It'll say Realm, but the name of the wine on the back label will say Hartwell Grace.
So it'll be
it's part of the Realm portfolio.
So it'll be Realm Napa Valley.
Realm Cellars.
Yeah, and then Hartwell. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Realm Cellars, Stag's Leap District, and the name of the vineyard, if you will be called Hartwell Grace.
Okay. The tannins are very fine, and they just they're fondue. They just melt into the wine. You almost don't see the tannins.
I love that fondue.
It just comes across the yeah,
like chocolate
like
fondue.
melted. Yeah, exactly.
And then the next wine actually would be also one that doesn't have a label. It just has a name on it called Beckstoffer. Or maybe I can't remember if I sent you one with a label on it. It's called Beckstoffer Born. Oh yeah, perfect. I sent you a finished one. Excellent.
So James, that was the Kata wine.
Okay.
So that's the continuity.
So yeah, back in the day, it was called Kata. David Beckstoffer started his own label from this vineyard, Beckstoffer Born, that of course is family owned.
Of course, yeah.
And Benoit was making the wines, and so David decided he wanted to spend more time just focused on the vineyard management company, and so we just worked out a deal. And since Benoit was already making the wine, it was kind of a no-brainer that we basically merged Kata into Realm. And so now we have the Beckstoffer Born vineyard as part of our portfolio. That wine has
Syrah, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is two differences, James. There is a new block that's coming online. 337. They did replant that Petit Syrah. We the only one we saved 10 rows.
Yeah.
So the Cabernet, the 337 have been evolving and giving more of the body that we were looking for. So we kind of use more of the cab for less of the Petit Syrah. So Petit Syrah is on kind of the lower percentage. We have 10%, and I think in 19 we will look at 7%. Because the cab is really developing there, and we have the clone 8 and the clone 337, and we find we're achieving a great texture with the cabs.
Okay, so we go to Dr. Crane next.
That's very typical. Crane, you're getting the stones but not the opulence that you normally get, probably because of the cooler vintage. And no,
I think mineral and tension.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, that one might need. Are you Coravin in these?
Yes. It might need decanting. But anyways, I like it. It's really solid.
Maybe you pull the cork on that one, see how it goes over the next few hours. I think we did the same here. So.
For lunch.
Yeah, that's what you have for lunch.
Okay.
with your Korean fried chicken.
Yeah, right. I need that for breakfast.
The Saint Helena spice.
So from Crane, we go to Tokelan afterwards.
Okay, then Tokelan.
And then there's two Tokelans. There's Tokelan and there's a Tokelan Cab Franc. We'll do the normal
right.
Tokelan first.
You have the red eye and the green eye.
Yeah, red eye first.
So Tokelan, this Tokelan definitely is less opulent and more fragrant this year. I saw that in a number of Tokelans I had Schrader as well.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the cooler growing season, right?
Yeah, we always, I think we touch and we talk about that with you, like about that notion of baby fat. I don't think, it's like, think about 14. It was not super fleshy, not sweet, more linear and lanky. And I think it turned out beautiful. And I think 18 is going to be more that. You want the merge of, like we say, about weakness. So I think you have enough, but the fruit is beautiful. If you nail it, the fruit expression is pretty, very distinctive, and you recognize every terroir. Tokelan smell like Tokelan, Crane, etc. So it's just pretty exquisite that way.
I'm with you.
Last will be the Cab Franc, so the green eye.
Yeah.
And so we started doing this a couple of years ago. You've had this for the last few, I think, where there's a few rows of Cab Franc in the back of the vineyard, and we've just decided to keep it separate, mostly because it is so distinct. And you have we set them at 750. Yeah. So we actually only bottle that wine, James, in a Magnum, but we bottled a couple of 750s for critic tastings like this. So that's what we sent you.
I'll put it on.
But that wine is 100% Cabernet Franc. There's no in some years we've had a little had a barrel of Cabernet to blend in, but this year it's 100% Cabernet Franc.
So the tannins are so fine. Beautiful.
Fondue.
Absolument.
J'aime la fondue.
No, because they say that. Haven't you heard that in France? Or it's like, oh, mais ça c'est très fondu, les tanins, mais fin.
Ouais.
Anyways, I really like this for Cabernet, and it proves how excellent Cabernet Franc is in Napa. And by the way, I think your merlot was really fantastic this year, and I think that that really highlights how Napa doesn't have to just be Cabernet.
Yeah, and over the top cab.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm really.
Yeah. I think that with both of those varietals, Merlot and Cabernet Franc, it reinforces the importance of site.
Yeah.
That you got to be careful, that you don't overdo it. In both the site itself, but also the farming practices around that. Cabernet seems to be more resilient, more hardy, if you will.
Yeah.
But those other two varietals, I think we got to be super careful.
He's more giving, it's more forgiving in the cab, but the Merlot and the Cab Franc, you got to be done right from the farming to up to the finish line, which is hard to achieve, and I think that's why you don't see it as often and as easily. Or I think that's interesting.
So these wines are being sold now, then, right?
We released the first three wines you tasted were released in to our mailing list in September, and we're selling now for the trade internationally. And then the rest of them that you have are going to get released in February. All the single vineyards that get released in February.
So yeah, thanks for the tasting. It was congratulations. The wines were so well done. If I had just tasted, your wines, I would probably have a different interpretation of the vintage. But there's some fantastic wines like you guys and Paul. I really like the wines from Schrader this year. Nicely done. So, okay, guys, thanks again. Have a great evening. And
happy holidays to you.
Tasting. Thank you for taking the
Happy
time.
holidays. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Take care.
Merci. Ciao.
Ciao.